There is someone somewhere whose heart is already aligned with yours, even if your paths have not yet crossed. You may not see them, you may not know their name, but they exist in the quiet architecture of destiny, moving through life, gathering wisdom from their own wounds, preparing to meet you not from lack, but from fullness. Too often you have mistaken intensity for love. You have mistaken pursuit for devotion. You have mistaken chaos for passion. But real cherishing is different. It is calm. It is steady. It does not tremble with insecurity. It does not disappear when tested. It does not make you question your worth. Someone is ready to cherish you in a way that feels unfamiliar because it feels safe. This person will not love you for how well you perform, how much you give, or how quietly you endure. They will love you because your presence feels like truth to them. And truth does not need to be chased, it needs to be recognized. You have spent years strengthening yourself, healing, reflecting, growing through heartbreaks that once felt unbearable. You thought those endings were punishments. They were preparations. Each disappointment carved clarity into your spirit. Each betrayal taught you discernment. Each lonely night deepened your relationship with yourself. And now you are no longer desperate for love. You are ready for alignment. The one who is ready to cherish you will not rush you. They will not try to possess you. They will not fear your independence. Instead, they will admire it. Because someone who truly cherishes you does not seek to control your light. They seek to protect it. They will study the way your mind works. They will notice the subtle shifts in your tone. They will remember what makes you feel safe and what makes you withdraw. Not because they are afraid of losing you, but because they value understanding you. To cherish someone is to handle their inner world with reverence. And here is the deeper truth. The moment you stopped begging for breadcrumbs, you made space for a feast. The moment you stopped shrinking to be loved, you became visible to the one who loves strength. The moment you chose self-respect over attachment, you signaled to the universe that you are no longer available for half-hearted affection. Love that cherishes does not exhaust you. It restores you. It feels like exhaling after years of holding your breath. It feels like being chosen without having to compete. It feels like being seen without having to explain. This person is not looking for perfection. They are looking for depth. They are not searching for someone to complete them. They are searching for someone complete enough to walk beside them. But here is the paradox. They can only find you when you stop searching from fear, when you embody your value, when you protect your peace, when you trust that what is meant for you cannot miss you. Someone is ready to cherish you like never before. Not because you finally became enough, but because you finally realized you always were. And when you meet them, you will not feel fireworks. You will feel recognition. And recognition is the purest form of love. Real love does not arrive like a storm that shakes your foundation and leaves you wondering whether it will stay. It does not pull you into emotional highs so intense that the lows feel unbearable. Real love feels steady. It feels grounded. It feels like something you can rest in rather than something you must constantly fight to keep. When love is safe, your nervous system is calm. You are not anxiously checking your phone, decoding mixed signals, or replaying conversations in your mind, searching for hidden meanings. There is clarity instead of confusion. Many people mistake chaos for passion because unpredictability can create adrenaline. The uncertainty, the distance, the sudden bursts of attention, they trigger longing. But longing is not the same as love. Anxiety is not chemistry. Emotional turbulence is not depth. When someone truly loves you, they do not make you question where you stand. Their actions align with their words. Their presence is consistent. Their affection does not disappear when it is inconvenient. Safety in love means you can be fully yourself without fear of abandonment. You do not feel the need to shrink your personality, hide your emotions, or silence your needs to keep the connection intact. You can express discomfort without being punished with withdrawal. You can share your dreams without being mocked or dismissed. You can have boundaries without being accused of being difficult. This kind of love does not demand that you earn reassurance. It offers reassurance freely. In safe love, conflicts are not threats. They are opportunities for understanding. Disagreements do not escalate into power struggles. Instead of walking away to create fear, the other person leans in to create clarity. Instead of using silence as a weapon, they use communication as a bridge. You feel heard rather than judged, supported rather than tested. There is a quiet strength in love that is not chaotic. It does not need dramatic gestures to prove its intensity. It shows itself in small consistencies, in remembered details, in thoughtful check-ins, in reliability. Over time, this steadiness builds trust, and trust builds intimacy far deeper than any whirlwind romance ever could. When love is real, it feels like peace. Not boredom, not indifference, but peace. It feels like you can exhale, and in that exhale you realize that love was never meant to be a battlefield. It was meant to be a home. Your past was never random. Every heartbreak, every disappointment, every moment you felt unseen or unchosen was shaping you in ways you could not yet understand. At the time, it felt like loss. It felt like rejection. It felt like proof that love was unstable or that you were somehow not enough. But what if those experiences were not punishments? What if they were preparation? Pain has a way of refining perception. The relationships that fell apart taught you what inconsistency feels like. The promises that were broken taught you the value of integrity. The times you overgave and felt unappreciated taught you the necessity of boundaries. Through every emotional wound, you were gathering awareness. You were learning to distinguish between attention and intention, between charm and character, between temporary desire and lasting devotion. There was a version of you in the past who tolerated less because you did not yet know your worth. You mistook potential for commitment. You accepted confusion as mystery. You convinced yourself that if you loved harder, gave more, or waited longer, things would transform. But those experiences slowly awakened something deeper within you, discernment. You began to recognize patterns. You began to notice red flags sooner. You began to understand that love should not require self-abandonment. Even the loneliness served a purpose. The nights you sat alone with your thoughts forced you to confront your fears. You learned how to soothe yourself instead of chasing validation. You started building a relationship with your own mind, your own emotions, your own needs. That inner work is invisible to others, but it changes everything. It makes you less desperate for external reassurance and more anchored within yourself. Growth often feels uncomfortable because it demands that old illusions collapse. The fantasy of who you thought someone could become had to dissolve so you could see who they truly were. The attachment to who you used to be had to fade so you could evolve. Each ending created space. Each lesson added depth. Each scar strengthened your emotional resilience. Now you stand in a different place than before. You are not naive. You are not easily swayed by empty words. You carry wisdom that only experience can give. The past did not break you, it built you. And the strength you carry today is the very reason you are ready for a love that matches your growth rather than challenges your worth. There comes a moment in emotional maturity when you realize that love was never meant to be earned through performance. Yet for many, affection became something conditional early on, something granted when you were pleasing, agreeable, impressive, or self-sacrificing. You learned to read the room. You learned to adjust your tone, your opinions, your needs. You became skilled at being what others wanted, hoping that if you performed well enough, you would finally feel secure. But love built on performance is fragile. It forces you to live in constant awareness of how you are being perceived. You measure your words, you suppress your emotions, you overextend yourself to prove value, and slowly, without realizing it, you drift further from your authentic self. The connection may continue, but the real you becomes hidden behind effort. When you stop performing for love, something powerful happens. You allow yourself to be seen without rehearsal. You express discomfort without softening it to protect someone else's ego. You admit your fears without packaging them attractively. You share your dreams without downplaying them to appear humble. And in doing so, you create space for a different kind of intimacy, one rooted in truth rather than approval. Performance often disguises itself as devotion. You might tell yourself you are simply caring, simply attentive, simply giving. But giving that is fueled by fear of abandonment is not generosity. It is survival. It is an attempt to secure affection by becoming indispensable. The paradox is that the more you try to prove your worth, the less relaxed the connection becomes. You are no longer relating, you are auditioning. Authentic love does not require an audition. It does not demand constant evidence of your value. It does not reward you only when you are easy to handle. It welcomes the full spectrum of who you are, your strength, your sensitivity, your ambition, your boundaries. The right connection does not shrink when you show your true self. It deepens. Stopping performance is not about becoming indifferent or careless. It is about releasing the belief that you must earn what should be freely given. It is trusting that who you are without exaggeration or suppression is enough. And when someone chooses you in that unfiltered state, the bond becomes lighter. You no longer carry the exhausting responsibility of maintaining an image. You simply exist, and in that existence you are loved. Self-respect changes the entire atmosphere around you. It is not loud, and it does not need to announce itself, yet it is immediately felt. When you respect yourself, your energy shifts from seeking validation to embodying value. You no longer enter connections hoping to be chosen at any cost. Instead, you arrive already choosing yourself. That internal decision quietly communicates to others how you expect to be treated. Devotion is not forced, it is inspired. And nothing inspires genuine devotion more than witnessing someone who honors their own boundaries. When you stop tolerating inconsistency, mixed signals, and half-hearted effort, you create a natural filter. Those who are only interested in convenience will fall away. Those who are capable of depth will step forward with clarity. Self-respect does not chase, it attracts by example. There was a time when you may have accepted less because you feared losing the connection. You may have silenced your discomfort to keep the peace. You may have overextended yourself to prove loyalty. But each time you abandoned your standards, a subtle resentment grew within you, not just toward the other person, but toward yourself. Because deep down, you knew you deserved more. Self-respect begins the moment you decide that your peace is not negotiable. When you respect yourself, you do not need to threaten, beg, or manipulate to be valued. Your actions speak. You walk away from what diminishes you without dramatic exits. You say no without guilt. You express your needs without apology. This steadiness creates a powerful psychological effect. People understand that access to you is earned through consistency and sincerity. Devotion grows in spaces where value is recognized, not where it is given away freely to those who have not proven worthy. Self-respect also transforms the way you love. You no longer cling from fear. You no longer confuse intensity with commitment. You observe actions. You trust patterns. You allow time to reveal character. This patience is magnetic because it signals emotional maturity. It shows that you are not desperate for attention. You are available for alignment. Devotion offered to someone who respects themselves feels different. It is not about possession. It is about admiration. It is not driven by insecurity. It is grounded in appreciation. When you stand firmly in your worth, the love that approaches you must rise to meet it. And the one who truly sees you will not be intimidated by your standards. They will feel honored to meet them. To cherish someone is to approach their inner world with care, not curiosity alone, but reverence. It is to understand that beneath their words, beneath their habits, beneath their strengths and defenses, there exists a landscape shaped by memory, longing, fear, and hope. Emotional reverence means you do not walk through that landscape carelessly. You do not treat their vulnerability as something to analyze, control, or exploit. You treat it as something sacred. Many people know how to desire, but few know how to cherish. Desire focuses on what a person gives you, how they make you feel, how they enhance your life, how they satisfy your needs. Cherishing shifts the focus. It asks, how can I protect what is fragile in you? How can I honor what you have entrusted to me? It is less about possession and more about stewardship. When someone cherishes you, they listen beyond your sentences. They hear the emotion beneath your tone. They notice when your silence means overwhelm rather than indifference. They recognize when your strength is covering exhaustion. This attentiveness is not obsessive, it is intentional. It comes from a genuine desire to understand rather than to win. Emotional reverence also means restraint. It means refusing to weaponize secrets shared in moments of openness. It means not using someone's fears against them during conflict. It means holding their insecurities with gentleness instead of judgment. In arguments, it chooses dignity over dominance. In misunderstandings, it chooses clarity over pride. There is maturity in this kind of love, a willingness to protect the bond rather than prove a point. To cherish is to create safety. You become a place where the other person can unfold without fear of ridicule. Their dreams are not minimized. Their tears are not dismissed. Their boundaries are not challenged as threats. Instead, their emotional reality is acknowledged as valid, even when it differs from your own. This validation builds trust slowly, like layers of stone forming a foundation that does not easily crack. Emotional reverence is quiet but powerful. It does not need dramatic declarations to prove its depth. It shows itself in consistency, in patience, in the choice to respond rather than react. When you are cherished in this way, you feel seen in your entirety, not just for your light, but for your shadows as well. And in that acceptance, love transforms from something fragile into something profoundly secure. Many people are taught to believe that love must begin with fireworks, an instant spark, overwhelming chemistry, a rush so intense it feels almost destabilizing. The heart races, the mind obsesses, sleep becomes difficult. It feels cinematic, dramatic, urgent. But urgency is not always alignment. Intensity is not always depth. Fireworks are beautiful, but they are brief. They explode brightly and then disappear into smoke. Recognition is different. Recognition is quiet. It does not shout, it settles. When you experience recognition, there is a strange sense of familiarity, as if you have known this person beyond time. Conversations flow without performance. Silence feels comfortable rather than awkward. You are not trying to impress them, and they are not trying to conquer you. There is no frantic energy pushing the connection forward. Instead, there is a steady unfolding. Fireworks often come from unpredictability. The uncertainty of whether someone will stay can heighten attraction. The push and pull creates emotional spikes that feel like passion. But recognition carries certainty. Not the certainty that everything will be perfect, but the certainty that you are standing before someone whose presence does not threaten your stability. Your nervous system relaxes rather than braces itself. With recognition, you do not lose yourself in the other person. You remain aware of who you are. Your routines, your friendships, your ambitions, they continue to exist. The connection enhances your life, it does not consume it. There is admiration without idolization, desire without desperation. You are drawn to them, but you are not destabilized by the possibility of loss. Recognition also allows you to see clearly. You are not blinded by fantasy or projection. You see their strengths and their flaws, and still, something within you says, this makes sense. There is alignment in values, in vision, in emotional pace. You are not trying to force compatibility, you are discovering it naturally. Over time, fireworks demand constant fuel to stay alive. Recognition builds warmth slowly, like embers that glow steadily through the night. It may not feel explosive at first, but it endures. It deepens. It becomes a quiet knowing that you are not chasing excitement, you are experiencing belonging. And belonging does not need to be loud to be powerful. It simply needs to be true. And so as you move forward, do not measure love by noise, intensity, or urgency. Measure it by peace. Measure it by how deeply you can breathe in someone's presence. Measure it by how fully you are allowed to remain yourself. You are not here to beg for fragments of affection or to decode inconsistent behavior. You are here to experience a connection that honors your growth, respects your boundaries, and recognizes your depth. The love meant for you will not require you to shrink, to perform, or to compete. It will meet you where you stand, whole, aware, and self-respecting. Trust that every lesson you endured refined your vision. Trust that every time you chose dignity over desperation, you aligned yourself with something higher. What is ready for you now is not chaotic, not confusing, not temporary. It is steady, it is intentional, it is real. And when it arrives, you will not have to convince yourself. You will simply know, because the love that is meant for you will not feel like a battle to win. It will feel like coming home.